Hi, welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey to publication. I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
I am Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
Hi, I'm Christina Catane, and I write in multiple genres, including Christian dystopian fiction.
I'm Rhonda Hagerman, and I write fiction and nonfiction.
Well, we're back. Yes, after a 2-week hiatus, we are back live with you. We hope to see all of your comments in the little chat box. If you like what we do, remember to like and subscribe, and you'll never miss an episode. Also, interesting and fun announcement. We are moving our live day. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Starting the week of August 8th, so it will be August 9th, we will be broadcasting live on Friday, not Thursday anymore. So we're moving to Friday. End your week with a fun time of encouragement and support, and hopefully set you up for success in the weekend and the week to come.
I'm so grateful and so thankful that we're moving to Friday, because can I just tell you, every Friday morning when I would wake up and have to be at office hours, I'd be like, wait a minute, my week is over. Because it always felt like we go through the podcast, we do the postcast, and it's like, whoo, that was a long week. But then we still have one more day. So like, no. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I know, because it feels like the end of a week, because we've been doing the office hours all week. And yeah, I'm totally with you. So I'm excited about the Friday. And I'm thankful for you ladies for being willing to make that change. I have some changes in my family's schedule that prevent me from participating on Thursday. So again, we're going to move the podcast to Friday, but not quite yet. Keep tuning in on Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern to see Christian Indie Writers Podcast live. Okay, so we start every episode with a segment we call What's Up? And that's where we kind of go around our little virtual circle and check in with each other about what's going on with our personal lives. So Rhonda, your screen is big in my view of this podcast. So I'll start with you. What's up, Rhonda?
So much has been going on in my life lately.
Yeah.
And all of it is going to show up in a book someday. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I wasn't around because my husband had just had shoulder surgery the day or 2 days before that. And then last week, Wednesday was my grandmother's funeral. And so that was a very sad time for me, and I had to miss last week also. But anyway, everything's looking up, and I have not hardly written in the last 2 weeks, and I'm just excited to get back to it, to my habits. I've missed them.
We were all very sorry to hear your grandmother's passing, and we pass along our condolences to you. We've been praying for you.
I appreciate
that.
But
it is so much easier though when you know where their heart is, and you know that they're with Jesus, and you get to see them again. Because I've been there. Right. I've lost all my grandparents, and I know I get to see them again. And I'm just I don't know if that encourages you or not, because it's hard, because it's still really fresh, Rhonda. But we've been praying for you, and
I appreciate that. And Grandma, all of her siblings are gone. Her husband's gone. All of her friends. She's outlived all of her friends, and so she was ready to go.
Rhonda, people online too. Belden says that she's sorry as well. So I just want you to know that our listeners are also supporting you.
I appreciate that.
Oh, that's so
and so did Maria. So.
All right. Well, I'll do my What's Up. I went to America's #1 beach yesterday, Siesta Key. And it's been voted #1 because of the super soft, sugary sand. My sister met me there. She lives south of me. So it was a really good halfway meetup point. She lived in the area for a while, so she was really excited to see all the changes that happened. Apparently, there's a lot more parking there than there ever was before. There's new, rinse-off stations that weren't there before. Sadly, the beach is a lot busier than she ever remembered. But so, you have to take the bad with the good. But we did have a wonderful day relaxing at the beach, and then we went and had lunch together, and that was very much the highlight of my week. So shout out to Laura if you're listening. I had a great time hanging out with you, sis. And what's up with you, Tina? What's going on with you this week?
Well, I'm very excited because Saturday morning I leave to go to camp meeting.
Woo-woo!
Yay!
Yeah, which is my absolutely favorite week of the year. We get to go down to our church denomination's campground, and it's absolutely packed. There's not a free site in the entire place. So it's kind of like a family reunion, because I've been to several different churches on this district, And so you get to see people that you knew from those churches. And they have great services, 2 services a day, plus a Bible study, plus an awesome, awesome children's program, which unfortunately my children are now helping run the children's program. Like my daughter is 32 and she's a program director out there. So, or maybe she's 31. I don't want to make her older than she is. Poor thing. And then, so it's just a great time. And I have a golf cart that my husband bought me, and it's bright red, and it's lifted, and it has these big tires on it. And so I like to zoom around the campground. I don't speed. I don't go over the 10 miles an hour, but I still zoom around the campground on my golf cart. But it's just a great time.
Fun. Yeah. I've been privileged to go and visit some friends, including you, up there during camp meeting week. And I know it's a great time. So I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
All
and we're
right.
taking the bunny.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, he's claimed the entire camper is his. So we'll see how that works.
All right. So last but certainly not least, what's up with you, Jen? And the reason we waited to ask Jen is because, frankly, today's episode is sort of all about Jen. I mean, we've joked around in the past about the torture that is actually publishing. I mean, you write the book, you edit the book, and you think you're really suffering. And then when it comes time to push that publish button, you think, I'm finally to where it's all downhill. Not so much. So, Jen, if you want to kind of just start with a general, and then we'll kind of get more into discussion.
Yeah, well, first of all, I am looking forward to visiting Tina at camp meeting because we're not camping this year. Last year we tried camping with Tina. If you've been viewing our podcast very long, and my daughter had an allergic reaction to something at camp. I don't know. We ended up coming home and driving, and so I realized really fast that I like the fact that I could sleep in my own bed and then still go to camp meetings. So we're going to be doing that again when we're driving down because Tina's right. The children's programming is out of this world. The music in the worship services is phenomenal. And by the way, Tina, the woman that leads the worship, I don't know if you know this, but she's at a church in Saginaw now. She used to be in Illinois near where my son is going to college. I really think we should sneak away from our churches one Sunday and go up there. Anyway,
I follow her on Facebook, so yeah, I knew that. Yep. And this year they have a guy from Ireland speaking. Yeah.
See, I didn't even know. I've not even been paying attention because I've been so obsessed with my launch. But
Ian something, and I've heard him speak before. He came to a pastors and wives retreat we had, and he's awesome. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's great. So anyway, I've been, as I kind of hinted at, and Jamie has kind of hinted at, I've been really kind of all caught up with the launch of book 2, and everything was going great, and then it kind of went downhill from that. So my poor kids, they always kind of get put on the back burner on launch week, and they know that, and then to see that launch week was kind of a bust was kind of hard for me when I realized that my poor kids suffered as well from it. But we're good as a family. We've had a talk about it, and so yeah. So I don't know, where should I begin, Jamie? Jamie, you're the host. Where do you want me to begin? Just start talking, or do you?
Well, I think that you need to define some terms for us. So I think that you need to explain how you're not Amazon exclusive and how that changes the many steps to publishing and all that is involved with that.
Yes, I am not Amazon exclusive, though. After this, I'm kind of considering doing that. So for those of you that have not published yet, or that are just kind of wetting your feet in self-publishing, you have 2 options. You can be Amazon exclusive. We're talking ebook. I think everybody should be wide with their printed book, if at all possible financially, because in order to do that, you have to purchase ISBNs for your books. But if you don't have that option financially, then you can just publish on Amazon, and that's perfectly okay too. But I am wide with all my books, including my ebooks, which means that you can go to Barnes & Noble online. You can go to the Barnes & Noble local here and buy my book. You can go to Barnes & Noble local or your local Barnes & Noble and order my book, and they'll get it in for you. But you can go online and get the ebook on Barnes & Noble, on Kobo, on Apple Books, anywhere that you can purchase an ebook or physical books. I'm there. So that does change things. If you were exclusive, then you probably wouldn't have the problem that I had this week. So that's different. So that I am wide. I have made that decision to go wide because of it being Christian historical fiction. From what I can see, that genre is still widely read in a physical form. A lot of you'll see and someday we're going to talk about Facebook advertising and I'll show some of my stats. But if you were to see my stats right now for who is my most engaged audience with my Facebook ads, it is 65 plus by a huge margin. Those are my peeps. My grandmas are my peeps. Like my mom and all her friends, that age group is my peeps. And so, those individuals, not as many of them read ebooks. So it's really important for my genre that I make sure that I have physical copies and not just do ebooks. So that's a side note in that. So yes, so I'm wide. In order to be wide, I have to publish. I publish on Amazon separately, the paperback and the ebook, and I publish through a company called Ingram Spark. There are lots of options, but Ingram Spark really is the standard for indie authors. They are Lightning Source is a side shoe of a larger company that does all the publishing for big companies like Random House and Penguin and all the other ones. It's the same company that does that. So they do a publish on demand. You might see that in chat rooms too. It's called POD. What publish on demand means is that if somebody orders a book on Amazon or somewhere else, the book gets printed right then. I don't have to print 1,000 copies of the book and hope I sell them all. They get printed on demand. If Barnes & Noble orders the book on the shelves, they get printed on demand. So
when these companies are going to be printing out copies of your book, they are operating off of a source file that you provide, correct?
Yes.
So
yes.
You have to upload your book to the Ingram Spark machine or whatever, and then they print those on-demand books based on whatever you have sent to them.
Yes.
And that's where you ran into a problem. Explain what happened.
Yes. So Amazon will not let you do a pre-order on your paperbacks unless I think you're a very large print, like if you were Thomas Nelson, they probably would let you, or Bethany House. But they've not allowed me to do that, supposedly. They will let me do that for an ebook. So I thought, well, that's a great idea. I should put the pre-order on the ebook. I had until Sunday, this last Sunday, to make any corrections. I uploaded everything to Amazon. I did not okay the printed version of Amazon though, because once you do that, once they approve it, it goes live. I learned that with the first book. So my first book,
you didn't want to launch Searching for Anna until a week or something after it actually went live, because you clicked, there was no option to say what day you wanted it to go live. And then as soon as they approved it, it was live. And you were like, ah.
Right. I thought I would have one more step. I knew that they had to approve it. So I clicked to have them approve it. And then all of a sudden it was live. And then I had to keep it a secret because I wanted to have like this bigger launch. It worked out fine. But so this time, like, I'm not doing that. So I waited until Tuesday to click yes for them to approve it, because then I knew it would usually it takes about 24 hours. They say up to 72, but it usually only takes about 24. And then, but on Ingram Spark, they let me do pre-orders. They let me say, this is the day that I want to have it come out, but bookstores can order it at any point after the approval process. So we've talked about this before. I go through a really long editing process myself personally. Then I have an editor look at it, who was Jamie this time. And by the way, phenomenal job. Jamie, I don't think she wants to extend her services to other people because it would be very expensive. And I understand why editors charge what they do, because it's a lot of work. But Jamie and I have a trade situation that we have worked out for skills that I have that will help her career. So that should be a whole nother episode where we talk about how to get editing cheaper. So I went through that process. Jamie edited it. But Jamie, the way that I had to give it to Jamie, the way that we were doing it was chapter by chapter, not as a whole book. I took all her edits, fixed everything, and then I compiled it into a whole book format. And I used, I mentioned this before, I used the program Vellum to do the layout. It makes it lickety-split easy. And I had a approved copy sent from Amazon, because it's going to be identical to Ingram Spark. The only difference is I think Ingram Spark's covers are a little bit more colorful, but that's another topic. Anyways, as you can see, these ones here, the purple ones are me. I made more fixes, but these ones here.
You didn't go in and just flag all the kissing scenes?
No, I know. I don't need to flag them. People do that though in romance, just so you know. So these are all the mistakes that are all editing. This is the things that my copy editor found, and they weren't ridiculous. She goes, they might be a little bit too picky. I'm not for me. I like to be picky. Missing commas, little things that she thought would be better. I agreed. So went through and fixed all those, uploaded everything. I'm all ready for this. I have graphics ready to go. I've been working all week on graphics. I have been setting up a street team, which is a whole nother episode that we can do. And then, not 2 nights ago, or yesterday morning, I woke up to a message that was sent to me the night before. I'd already gone to bed from one of my street team members. And she said, Jen, do you realize that these 2 chapters are in the wrong order? I think that chapter 13 should come before chapter 12. And I just all caps wrote, what? Are you kidding me? And I went and looked, and sure enough, somehow in the process, the wrong chapter, these 2 chapters got switched.
Okay, so stop right there. So, okay, no big deal. I just have to switch the 2 chapters, right?
You would think, but guess what? I had already clicked on Amazon to, yes, approve this book. Once you do that, it locks everything down. You can't make any corrections until they approve it. Once they approve it, you can fix it again, and then they go through the approval process again. But it was locked down. Not only that, because I did a pre-order on the ebook, I had to have all the corrections by Sunday. I couldn't fix anything until it went live at midnight today, after they had already sent out pre-orders. I couldn't fix it before they went to pre-orders. So, and then again, with Ingram Spark, there is a waiting process. You upload new files, and you still have to wait for them to approve them, which sometimes can take a few days. So here we are 2 days before, no, 1 day, 24 hours or less from launch. And I'm just realizing this. And I went into panic mode because I don't want to get out there and say, everybody buy a book, and they all are getting the wrong copy. So, all right, let's take a deep breath. First thing I did was I spent some time in prayer. The next thing I did was I went to my reader page. I have on Facebook, associated with my author page, I've created a group of readers, and anyone who is interested in my books or Christian romance, whatever, can join it. And I went to them and I put a prayer request on there. I kind of let them know what was going on, and I said it will take an act of God to fix this. And so I had lots of immediate responses. People started praying for me. And the first thing I did was I couldn't do anything with Amazon. What I needed God to do with Amazon was for Amazon to release my books. Say, yes, they're fine. You can change them. So I went to Ingram Spark and I uploaded new files. It was, I don't think it was less than an hour. It might have been just over an hour. And Ingram Spark approved them both.
And that's
I have never,
because you're
that is a praise report, because I have never had them answer that quickly. It's at least 24 hours every single time I've done a book. And so that was a praise report. Now, if somebody pre-ordered through Barnes & Noble, I don't know if the book's sent out already. I don't know if it's arriving to them on release day or if it gets mailed then. I think it gets mailed. If that's the case, then they'll get a correct copy. But I don't know for sure. So then I kept checking Amazon, and it wasn't letting me do what I need to do. And I was also, all this week, my youngest daughter has been at volleyball camp, and she just needed me there. She just needed someone cheering her on. She was very kind of uncomfortable with it, but was so excited that it was just something for her. Her older sisters weren't doing it. This was just her. And so God kind of spoke to me and said, you can't do anything about this. So why don't you focus on what you can do something about? And I just focused on her, and I'm just very happy that I did, because it was a great day with her, just being able to do that. And she goes to camp today, which she says she's a little nervous about it. I'm really nervous because she's my baby. She'll be fine. And like Tina said, Tina's daughter, Amber, who I'm friends with, is running the camp. So I am not the least bit and she loves Phoebe. So Phoebe will be so taken care of. It's ridiculous. But anyways, that's a side note. So I just stopped. I started ignoring Amazon. So then we finished that. We're at lunch, and I check again, and it still says it's in review, so I can't do anything. We have lunch. I come home, and for some reason, I popped up my laptop, and all of a sudden, it said that it was printing. It was no longer in view, and I'm like, what does that mean? So then I tried changing it, and it wasn't right for me to change. So I checked back in a half an hour, and it said it was like not in review anymore. So about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, so like 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, I was able to fix that. It is still in review. So if somebody orders a paperback right now, they're going to get the crappy version. However, anytime now, they could take it out of review, and what that means is that the good version will be up. So that's a praise report, because that's in God's hands, and I'm just not even going to worry about it. You guys, I just refreshed Amazon, KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, and it says live updates publishing.
Yay! That's awesome.
That's so great.
I'm so glad they coordinated that with our podcast.
That was very nice of them to do.
Yeah.
So we'll let Jennifer react to that for just a moment, because that is really God moving. I mean, think about how long the first time took. And so for this update to happen so quickly, that's really amazing. And
can I say one more thing quick, and then I can stop talking and stop babbling because I feel like this has just been the Jen show, and I don't like that. But at 2:30 in the morning, God woke me up, and he said, fix your book. And I got up, and I went on, and I could see the only 2 pre-orders had stayed, because I had gone to my group and said, please cancel your pre-orders. I don't want you to get an incorrect book. Even though many of the women in my group and in my street team said, you can't even notice it. Like the book they felt like read so well, they thought it was a flashback. They didn't feel like it was a problem, but to me it was a problem. Anyway, so I fixed it at 2:30 in the morning. And when I woke up this morning at 6:30, Kindle had already approved it. Never had, like Jamie, you have done books on Kindle. Have you ever had that fast of an approval? I've never had that fast of an approval.
Girl, I never even have that fast of an upload. But then I was kind of working on a dinosaur computer at that time. But yeah, usually there is quite a process. And
yes.
So do you two ladies just in general have any questions about like what Jennifer is saying? Because I feel like anybody who's brand new, who hasn't even wrote chapter 1 on the top of their first page, may feel like we're all speaking a foreign language. Has anything kind of triggered you guys to sort of say, wait, Jen, when you said you did blah, 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 what did you mean? Anyone?
Are you talking to Rhonda and I, or are you talking to the chat?
Well, either, both. I'm really bad at keeping up with the chat. Has anybody been saying anything in the chat?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and there were 2 people in there, so that's why.
Yeah.
I thought you maybe.
Well, I'll just answer for myself. I've got so many questions, but you guys have been a really great source. I'm so glad that I was able to come into this writing group at the time where you guys were just learning this stuff yourself, because a lot of your mistakes I don't have to make now. And I appreciate that so much more than you guys know.
That's why I wanted to share today, because I want people to learn from my mistakes.
Yes. Well, I do have one question. How are you going to change your editing to not make that mistake again? Or what sort of a checklist are you going to have to make sure that every single base is covered? It just seems really overwhelming.
Yeah, that's a really great question, because I have a really good editor in Jamie, and I have a really good copy editor in Jen. And I don't know, and it was in the printed, this version, it is incorrect in this printed version. But I think that my husband Randy said, you can't keep calling it a mistake, because really and truly it was some sort of glitch. Something happened that who knows? We all know, we all use Scrivener, and sometimes if you try using the touch screen with Scrivener, it screws things up. It could have been something got clicked by accident and dragged when I wasn't, I don't know, what I didn't notice in Vellum. I don't know. For sure, from now on, I'm always going to check the order of my chapters. Like, I know that it's a fluke, but that's something I'm still going to do. But I don't know that as far as the editing process, if there's anything I can change. What I think I'm going to change, make sure that I change, is that I would have more time between my street team getting it and that final day that I can put in the edits. Because praise God for a street team. I did not have one with Anna. And I just at the last minute thought, I should see if anyone wants to be on a street team. I should just try this. And I threw it out to my reader group, and I had about 10 women say, yes, we will read your book, and we promise to give you a fair, like an honest review. I don't care if they hate it. They just need to be honest. And we can do that in a week. They all agreed to those terms. And if I hadn't done that, this would think about this. I would have published, and I'd have been like, everybody buy my book, and I, would have had all these books out there. And then what would I have done? I would have felt the responsibility to replace all those books. Which would have been on me financially. And I already financially got like kicked in the knees because I ordered from Ingram Spark like $130 worth of books to put into the Christian bookstore and to have for giveaways. So I have some really good fire starters now. I've been using this one as a coaster for my coffee. It's great because, I don't want to ruin my desk.
Bring them to camp meeting.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not going to sell these or give these.
No,
I feel that bad about it.
For the bonfire.
For the s'mores.
Oh, for the s'mores, yes. All right, we will totally do that, and we will video it, and we will upload it to either our Facebook page or the web something.
I meant sell them. I'm like, let's burn them.
Yeah, well, because people have encouraged me. People in my street team are like, Jen, just sell them. Your friends will understand. But I'm too much of a perfectionist, and I just don't think that's right. I want to I've worked hard on this book, and this is God's story. I don't feel like I did any of this on my own, and God's story, it deserves it to be done the right way. So I lost the money.
You want to put out a quality product.
Yes. So
even
I would
never giving it away.
Yes. And so I'm not going to, so to answer your question, Rhonda, and as long as version, I guess, as I can, because that's what I do, I would not hit the okay, it's ready to publish button, and I would not order my books from Ingram Spark until after my street team had like 2 weeks to read it, so that I would get everyone. And some of the people on the street team missed it. They read it and they're like, didn't even notice it. And I had two after I posted this, because it was one street team member that read it and caught it. Another street team member messaged me and said, I caught it last night, but I thought I was so tired that I was missing something that I put the book down. I thought I'll read it again in the morning. And when I saw what you posted, I went back to where I was reading, and she goes, I'm so sorry. I should have messaged you last night. But it wouldn't have made a difference. Like, I got it, the information as soon as I can. Right. So that, to answer your question, that's what I would do.
Okay. Different. Well, I know that Tina prints out her entire manuscript. Do you do that too, or do you do everything online?
I don't print it out because it just costs too much money. But on top of that, that wouldn't have fixed this.
Okay.
It happened somewhere after that process.
Okay. Yeah, it was like a digital problem, because if you think about it, so her printed copy in her hand would not necessarily match what, like Mike TV flying in outer space from the television camera to the television. Like, the digital version of the book would be different than whatever you printed out, wouldn't it, Jen?
Yes. So this version here, this is the mistake version, happened after I did all my edits and after Jamie did her edits. This would have been the version. So then I had this one sent that went to the copy editor. And again, I do not see it as her fault, because I've gotten so many responses from people that have read the book. They're like, we totally missed it. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those things that, to me, it's obvious, but,
well, and a copy editor is really looking for punctuation.
Yes.
Like, they're not looking for content necessarily. So you couldn't really blame a copy editor anyway, because I guess you would more or less color a proofreader, making sure you got quotation marks where you need them and things like that. Right. So cohesion or whatever is not something she would be looking for.
Right.
And she caught somebody.
You said a lot of people thought it was a flashback anyway.
Right. So. I mean, it wasn't a well-written flashback. I mean, they probably just the way that I'm interpreting what people are saying is they felt the story was so good and it was so well written that when they found like something, they were like, it wasn't so great. They were able to look past it because they just want to keep going with the story. So that's encouraging to me. In fact, the woman that found the mistake has already written her review. I'm not sure if it's up on Amazon yet. She sent it to me, and can I just tell, I cried. I was sitting in the bleachers at Davison High School gym, watching my daughter play volleyball, practice volleyball, and I get a message, and I look at my phone, and I read it, and I just started crying because I needed it. I didn't realize how tense I was, and she enjoyed the book so much that she just wrote the review right away, and it's a beautiful review. I feel like it's just well written, and so grateful to her. So, and all my street team, I'm so grateful to all of them. So
that's amazing. I'm sorry to kind of jump in here, but we do have to look at the clock. Right. Tina, can you tell me if we're missing anything in chat, please? Is there anything we need to respond to there?
Just Maria said, it really shows what an excellent writer you are that people thought it read well, thought it was a flashback.
Nice.
I
Thank
think
you,
that if
Maria.
a book is well written, people will keep reading despite errors, and that she'd rather read an excellent book with chapters in the wrong order than a book perfectly formatted that didn't engage her.
I think I'm the same way. Thank you, Maria, for
And
that.
I agree with her. I said I agree with you wholeheartedly. But then there's a lot of, oh, so sorry that happened to you kind of comments. So,
And I'll go back and read them, everybody, and I appreciate you commenting. Usually, I'm the one that's watching and commenting, but obviously, I couldn't today. So
Jen, can we celebrate the launch of your book? Like, is everything fixed to where we can say, "Yay, Jen's published another book," or what?
I think so. Like, I think the only thing that was really up in the air is was, do I do my book launch party tonight? Because I didn't want to start publicizing this and then it be like, I don't want anyone to order the wrong thing. But now it's like, do I still do it tonight? Because I haven't like led up to this with like a whole bunch of fanfare. But I kind of feel like maybe we should. I could just start blasting Facebook and Twitter and everything, saying, hey, the launch party is tonight, and then it'll be what it is. I don't know.
Well,
what do you
I'm
think?
Available, so if you still want a party, I still have you penciled in, so you can let me know.
All right.
Maria has a question. She wants to know what a street team is.
Oh, great question. And I think we should do a whole episode on that. A street team is also called ARC reviewers, Advanced Reader Copy, ARC. I call them street team because it just feels like, they're on the streets for me. But a street team is a group of people that will they get an advanced ebook copy of your book. You can do this through BookFunnel, where they get their own URL, and if they share it, that person can't download it. Like, there's only one download per that unique URL. They get a free advanced copy of the book in exchange for an honest review. So I set it up the way I said that you have only a week. So I know it's a tight schedule, but and again, I'll do that. I'll give more time in the future. But in exchange for an honest review, you cannot give out a book and say that they have to give you a positive review. It's against Amazon's terms. So I asked them. I told them that was the very least that I needed was on Amazon a review. But I also asked if they would go to Goodreads and to Barnes and Noble. I've also asked a lot of people, and I think in the future, if I give them more time, I'm going to make this as part of the agreement to share on social media, especially Facebook. My peeps personally are on Facebook. I do share on Instagram. I actually prefer Instagram over all of the rest of them, but I do share on Instagram and I share on Twitter. But Facebook is where all of my readers tend to hang out. So I've already had lots of people sharing that they're reading it, and I've been getting good responses from that. So that's all it is I would say and we're going to have, this is a good segue. We're going to next week begin a series on building your platform, because I feel like that's something that I didn't completely understand when I first started way back a couple years ago. And everybody says you got to start your platform early. You got to have a platform, whether you're going to be an indie writer or a traditionally published writer. You have to kind of have a platform, and we're going to talk about that in depth. And one of the things we'll talk about is street teams. But you have to start off on Facebook. You have to have an author page, which is like a business page. And when you have a business page, you can connect a group, which would be private. Mine is private. You can see it, but you can't see what's being discussed in there. So people have to join the group. And what I do in my group is they get to see the cover first. Like, sometimes I share it when it's like in a really rough stage. And I have actually the cover for the next book already in a really rough stage.
Yeah, it's really really exciting to build up the anticipation here. But let's hold up on talking more about what you do in a writer group. I feel like Jennifer has just proven that there's so much we can discuss about, like we started to talk about a street team, and then we started using this word platform, and probably people are like, well, could you define that too? And so as a team here of podcast hosts, we are going to be taking these topics one at a time and thoroughly exploring them so that you can be prepared to publish in a way that you never dreamed that you could be. So please keep paying attention and tuning in for now Thursday. But remember, we're moving to Friday starting August 9th. But for this episode, we need to move on to the feeding of the bags. This is the time where we share our writing sprints. So every time before the podcast starts, we set a timer for 15 minutes and we write down a story based on a writing prompt. And today's writing prompt was a list of 5 words. And I always make Jennifer go first because I like how she reads off the 5 words that were our inspiration for the prompt. Do you want to go for it, Jen?
I can, but don't you think people are sick of hearing me? I feel like I talk a lot, but I will, and then I can like stop talking for a while. All right. Our 5 words were, and Tina finds them online for us, and thank you, Tina, for doing that. Strain, like you strain with a colander. Meet, like I meet you later, I'll meet you later. Compliance, slip, and wall. I was able to use all 5 of the words. However, one of them, or at least one of them, I use like meeting, I think, maybe. Strained,
and
I don't know.
If you want to write your own 15-minute sprint and then share a link to us on social media, we would be happy to retweet that and let you know what our thoughts are about what you came up with. So we only give positive feedback here because, again, only 15 minutes. And it was a spur of the moment on the fly piece. All right, Jen. So what'd you do for us?
Okay, here we go. Please don't let me slip up. Please don't let me slip up. Marnie continued her silent mantra over and over again as she walked toward the restaurant's entrance. It was the first time she would be meeting her best friend's girlfriend, his first since the divorce, and she was worried. Not about meeting the woman. Marnie honestly couldn't care less if the woman liked her or not. She didn't expect she would be around for too long. The rebound girls never were. But she did care about her friend Mike. They'd been best friends since the 3rd grade, and she wouldn't hurt the guy for the world. No, her paranoia was more due to her fear of saying the wrong name. Mike's ex-wife's name was Maddie. The new girl, her name was Addie. Marnie had been practicing the name Addie all week, but no matter how many times she said it, it felt weird. Maddie and Mike had started dating in college and been part of Marnie's life for so long that replacing Mike and Maddie with Mike and Addie felt wrong. But she'd do her best impression of compliance. Mike's happiness is what mattered, and for the time being, this girl seemed to make him happy. She peeked around the wall that separated the hostess booth from the rest of the restaurant, her eyes strained to make out Mike's broad shoulders in the darkened interior. He saw her before she saw him and rose from his chair to catch her attention. "You're late," he teased as he kissed her on the cheek. "You're early," she teased back. "I'd like you to meet someone very special," he said, motioning to the woman seated in the booth beside his now vacant spot. Marnie turned and extended her hand as Mike continued. "Marnie Miller, I'd like you to meet Maddie?" Marnie said incredulously. Mike had brought Marnie? Whoops, there was a mistake. Mike had brought Maddie? Why? She thought they couldn't stand each other. Maddie's eyebrows shot up like rockets as her eyes began darting back and forth between Marnie and Mike. It was then that Marnie realized that this wasn't Maddie, but a close facsimile of the original. Not only was Mike dating a woman with a similar name to his ex, she was similar in every other manner. Great, Marnie thought. How do I salvage this? 3, 2, 1.
What a plot twist.
Yes.
Except now I have to go back. I know we aren't supposed to edit these, like, because we share these. So if anyone's watching and you want to read these as well, we're not supposed to edit them. However, like I used Marnie where I met Maddie, and it's super confusing. So I am going to go back and fix those. I corrected it as I read it, but.
Will this go into your baseball story?
That wasn't my plan. This was not supposed to be a romance. I don't really know what to do with this, but I think it's funny. It may or may not be slightly autobiographical. Maybe. I might have changed genders, maybe, but yeah.
Oh, well, the whole scenario is entirely relatable. I do know a couple that divorced, and then for a long time it was really hard not to mistakenly say the former wife's name. Like, so I totally can relate to that situation. As a very relatable scenario for sure.
Yeah, it is hard. It's happened to me more than once.
I'm divorced myself, and my ex-husband also has a 3-letter name with an O in the middle.
Oh no.
So the beginning of our marriage had a few slips.
I have a friend that a relationship ended because he kept calling her by his ex-wife's name.
Oops.
Yeah. So,
All right. Well, is your back well fed, Jen?
well fed. Thanks for letting me share that, guys.
All right,
And
Bambina.
I just have to ask if you're capable of writing anything but a romance.
Yeah,
right.
no kidding.
Accidental romance should be like Jennifer.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess because I only read romance, I don't know. I don't know that I am capable of writing anything that's not a romance. So when I'm like kind of caught up with everything that I feel like I should be doing in my career, maybe I'll try. We'll see. But right now, I need to focus on because I'm already behind on this year. So
yeah.
All right, Bambina, why don't you go next? What did you come up with those 5 words?
Okay, I've been trying to write all my sprints in the same world, so it's going to sound familiar. Taryn had to strain to reach Brown's lead. It hung from his bridle and lay in the dirt just inches from her fingers. As she stretched to reach it, a sharp stabbing pain pierced her chest and stole her breath away. Brown, she said in an attempt to get him to move closer, but her words came out in a breathy whisper. She reached one more time, crying out from the pain and pushing through it. The stars in her eyes kept her from seeing what she was doing, but she felt the smooth leather of the lead against her fingers and grabbed hold of it. Now what? What good would having hold of her horse do her if she couldn't even sit up? She'd been careless. She'd been so anxious to meet with Sirius and tell him what she'd learned. She hadn't been as cautious as she should have been. A sentry on the wall had seen her and sent an arrow flying in her direction. She ducked just in time for the arrow to miss and darted into the bushes, but her foot had landed in a patch of dirt still waterlogged from the day's downpour, and she'd slipped. The next thing she knew, she was sliding down the ravine like a child on a hill in winter. Just before the bottom, a tree stopped her descent, catching her in the midsection and effectively bending her in half.
Ugh.
She was sure at least a few of her ribs were broken, if not all of them. She looked up at the big brown horse. How he'd gotten here, she couldn't say, and how she would ever manage to get on his back again was an even bigger quandary. "Thanks for finding me, boy," she said. "I don't suppose you brought help." "As a matter of fact, he did," said Padraig, stepping out from behind the animal. Taryn groaned. Could this day get any worse? "What are you doing here?" Taryn muttered. "Saving your little scrawny little behind, I'd say," Padraig replied. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I love the name Patrick, by the way. Irish, love that name.
Yep.
So
My
good.
favorite line is sliding down the hill like a child. I love that.
I liked in the very beginning, she was saying something breathlessly, and the way that you turned that phrase, that was very romantic. And, you know, the whole thing just sucked me right out of the idea that I was supposed to be trying to catch words that you included or didn't.
Oh,
I was just
me
taken
too.
away into the story.
I didn't get compliance in there. I was not compliant with that word. This kid didn't figure out how to get in there. So.
Funny.
I knew at least one of us was not going to use compliance and was going to use that as an excuse. I was not compliant.
All right. Well, Rhonda, I can go next if you want, and then that way it kind of breaks up all my talky parts.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll tell you, this is from my a series that I'm returning to that I had shelved a while back. This is from my Callahan capers. It's Moxie Callahan and Frank Fargo. I will tell you that they do not work together, but I've been doing exercises where I put them together and have them talk to each other so I can help figure out who they are and how they interact. So in this little sprint, she is in his office and working as apparently his secretary or something. Okay, so that is the setup. The office door opened and Frank Fargo sauntered into the room. "Heya, Callahan." "Oh, Mr. Fargo, I'm so glad to see you." Fargo stopped in front of her desk, cupped his elbow, and propped his chin on a fist. "Couldn't survive another moment without getting a gander at this handsome mug, eh?" "I'm afraid it's something more serious than that," Moxie said, tapping her bottom lip with a pencil and skimming a piece of paper. "This came today." She held the paper out to Fargo, who put up his hands and winced as though she were trying to hand him a rotten pastrami sandwich. "Hold on a second. Let me get in the door. You know I'm not ready to go at the crack of dawn." He rolled his eyes and hiked a thumb back toward Moxie as he scuffed over to the coat rack that stood along the far wall. "Unlike some people." "First of all, it's 10 a.m., Moxie replied, and watched Frank slip out of his trench and fedora and hang them on their assigned hooks. "Second of all, this really can't wait. The date on it is several days ago, and we'll have to act quickly to meet the deadline." She stood and followed Frank as he opened the heavy wood door to his inner office suite and went through it. Deadline? Yes, the deadline for coming into compliance. Compliance? Moxie stopped talking then, realizing they were playing what she'd privately named the parrot game, and understanding it would be pointless to continue until her boss had been properly caffeinated. Normally, watching Fargo perform the ritual of preparing his morning joe was relaxing, but Moxie couldn't relax as long as she alone carried the burden of this notice. She knew the news was going to put a strain on Fargo's already tense shoulders, but he had to be made aware, and he had to do something soon. The end.
I cannot wait to read this series. I just want to give, all right, so everybody that's listening right now, the premise of the series is that this guy, this is present. This is not, in the past, it's contemporary, but the guy, like, wears a fedora and a trench coat because it's, like, just who he is. Love it. Super excited for this.
Great.
Jamie, when I read your postcast piece today, I screamed. I'm so excited because you're such a fan of that detective genre anyway, that I cannot wait to hear what you write about it. I am so excited.
Awesome.
And how cool to write this, and I felt like this was the same feeling too. Like how cool to write a series that is contemporary but has the feel of that that genre, the old timey kind of like detective story, but in a tongue-in-cheek way that's not completely comedic. Like it's so well done. I can't wait for everyone else to be able to start reading it. It's so great.
Yep.
Well, that's high praise. I'm so thankful to hear that, you guys, and I really hope that I can do the concept justice. But we've been talking about, like, I just need to do it because, you know, you read other stuff that's out there and you're like, you know, I could do at least as good as that. And so I'm giving it a shot, and I really appreciate the encouragement in that direction because I love the ideal and I love the characters, and I just hope that I can make a connection with some other people who feel the same way. So thanks a bunch, guys. All right. So what do you got for us, John Rhonda, with these awesome words that we were given?
Okay. Well, let me start by saying the reason I wanted to start this writing group is because there's another group in this area, the only other group in this area, that the people are not very friendly. And so
we're in that group.
So this is who I am writing about, not our current writing group. Okay.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Thank you so much for clarifying that.
Oh, I get it.
Yes.
Sure it is. Okay.
I didn't get very far anyway. So,
All right.
It was a cold and stormy night. It was so cold and stormy. How stormy was it? My peanut gallery interrupted me with their sing-songy snark, immediately dissolving into a gale of laughter. It was so stormy, you can go take a flying leap. I huffed as I strained to punch the nearest of them in the shoulder. I knew the opening line was terrible and didn't meet the bare minimum for creativity. I deserved the well-intentioned ribbing. The story was beginning to frustrate me, and it showed in the phoned-in opening. Okay, I tried to slip that one by you. Think of it as a cry for help. I flipped through my manuscript and pointed to one page in particular. Starting in the middle of my story is the best thing I've ever tried. I held the open manuscript open to show my writing group. See, my compliance was spot on. Nary a mark from any one of you. Well, let's help you find a hook then. These days, the experts tell us it should be in the first sentence. Maribel was interrupted by a gasp from Lisa. The first sentence? That's absurd. I've never been hooked into a story in the first sentence. Lisa continued grumbling while Beth piped up. Well, I guess I should just throw away the 7 books I'd published then. I never tried a hook until the second page. My goodness, what a failure I am. Beth slid her chair back to the wall, threw a scarf over her shoulder, and expelled a loud, That's it. The end.
Love it.
This is all inspired by a sit-in I had one time.
Wow. It's like a Mean Girls writing group.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
Is this the same one I was at?
Oh, no.
No,
These are, I can tell you later.
Okay. So this isn't the same writing group I'm thinking of.
So if you want the juicy dirt, you need to join our postcast for $2 a month.
Yes. But you know what? But Jennifer, it very well could have been though.
I'm trying to remember, like that was the last time that I went to the other writing group, which is it's a larger group, but then there was like a small writing group, a small short story, and that that a bunch of us had gone to a couple times, and I think that there was some of you there that they were so ridiculous how they attacked my writing, and luckily I have you guys know I don't lack, and I don't let other people's opinions affect me a whole lot sometimes. And but it was so ridiculous that I called another member of the group who wasn't there. It was like afterwards. I was so mad about it. But I think you were there that time, Ron.
Yep, I was.
One of the comments angrily put forth during that time was somebody said to me, "Well, I don't even know what happened to the third sister." There was no third sister. Like, there wasn't. Like, and that was a kid's worst critique. He goes, "Well, you wrote it like there was a third sister." No one else in the group thought that, but they let him continue to berate me about how the third sister just disappeared in the story when they all knew that there was no third sister. And they all said, well, there wasn't a third sister. But they let him, like, berate me. So that was my last time there. So,
well, and that's the thing. You know, some people have a very strong personality. And if you let that kind of a thing go on in your writing group and don't sort of address it, some really ugly stuff can form. So I encourage everybody, if you have that kind of thing going on in your writing group, to just try to gently fix that, or have a conversation with the person directly, at Matthew, whatever, about going right to the person who offends you, right? And try to have some positive encouragement. And it's really strange how some people take publishing like a competition. And, you know, there are plenty of readers out there for all of the books that we want to write. And we should be competing. Rhonda, you've got to tell me that you didn't have one wearing a scarf because Tina is wearing her scarf. Because
no,
we were talking. Yes, the scarf is amazing. I like it, Tina. You know, and writers do things like wear scarves and shawls. So maybe this could be your new little thing. That
I
you
don't
have
know.
A scarf. Yeah.
I only have one scarf. Everyone would be like, "That's the same scarf you wore last week."
Yeah, well, you know what? Like, if you publish a best-selling book, you have to be like, I have to be wearing this scarf on launch day, just like, you know, baseball players with their home run socks or whatever.
Should I be offended? Because I have probably 40 scarves. You guys know how I feel about scarves. That was not false. So I'm not wearing them. And Tina, you need to come over and we'll go through them and I will donate a bunch because I don't need to have 40 scarves.
Okay.
So much for Rhonda's
I lied. I do
disclaimer.
have a black scarf.
So much for Rhonda's disclaimer that this was not about us in any way.
Right.
I'm so offended.
All right. Well, we have to visit the accountability corner before we move on. And I guess we will be signing off after the accountability corner because that's all that we have left on our little agenda. Who would like to be first? Everybody's not making eye contact with me because
I was reading the comments of Maria says that absolutely right to try to change the dynamics when it gets like that. Not been in a writing group, but my hubby has had similar experiences with theological student debates. Yes. So it doesn't have to be just writing. And I was going to say, Rhonda, this could be a great cozy mystery, like where someone keeps killing off the writing group. That would be awesome. And I also saw on a pre-made cover, like website, they had like pre-made covers for a gardening society cozy mystery series. That's so up your alley. So there's ideas for you too. So anyway, sorry.
I love that Crime and Crocuses or something. I love that.
That's what I told you. Yeah, isn't that great? I could totally see you doing that. So,
do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of sitting through a church sermon and thinking to yourself, I wish Jim Brown were here to hear this sermon because so like Jennifer's looking at covers being like, so-and-so should write a book for this cover. And so she's finding cute ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Belle said in the chat that she wears fedoras frequently.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. Hopefully she'll be a Frank Fargo fan because the series is set, it's modern day, but it's more 2003-ish, back before cosplay was really a thing, right? And so I believe that people today would be really down with what Fargo is trying to do, but in the time where these stories take place, he really kind of sticks out. So it makes for a good plot device for me. It makes it a lot of fun for me to write. So hopefully all of y'all who like fedoras will check it out.
I actually own a fedora that I bought at Salvation Army when I thought that I was going to have male models on my covers as well as the females when I ditched that idea. I'm going to mail it to you, Jamie, so you can wear it when you're writing or have it hanging there for inspiration because it's actually, I researched the name brand. It's a good one. And it probably belonged to some little old man that passed away and his family just got rid of everything. But so it has history, I think. So yeah, cool. All right, moving on. So accountability corner, since nobody answered you, I will do that. So first of all, I'd like to say, skimming through the comments really quick, that Maria said that they were a little late to our our podcast because they were a little late, or they were a little bit late with their office hours. So kudos to Maria. And I think that it's, who's with Maria in that's doing office hours?
Is it
with Maria?
Robin?
Robin, thank you.
Robin, that's
Well,
right.
whoever's doing it with you, kudos, because those of you that maybe are new to our podcast, we do office hours with each other where we actually meet up online, video chatting to keep each other accountable, and we set hours that we have our butts in the chair, our bums, depending where you're from, and we write. So kudos to you guys for doing that. So my goal for this week is to get this book out, to continue or start today to really promote that the book is there, and then to continue with the social media and stuff. I'm going to have my party tonight, and then I need to get back on track with writing because I've kind of put it to the side with everything that's been going on. So by this time next week, the book will have launched, and I will be preparing for actually the book club party, which is online as well. But I will have been at office hours every day next week because this week was chaos because of, oh gosh, next week's camp meeting. So I won't be in office hours. I'm going to commit that I'm going to do office. I'm going to do at least 2 hours some other time during the day. Sorry, guys. Summer stinks.
Yeah. Well, how is that going to affect you, Tina? Are you going to, you're planning to do office hours, or you're not sure? How's that going to affect you?
I'm not going to do office hours, mostly because the Wi-Fi at the campground is horrible during camp meeting. You can often get a pretty good signal when you go out there in the regular times when there's not a lot of people out there. My daughter does have it at her house, but I'm just really hesitant to keep asking her if I can go take over her house.
How about this? How about if Tina and I commit to writing together, even though we won't be in office hours? We will set a time. We'll have to figure out. I've got to look at what my schedule looks like with my kids, because it's very important to me that I have my kids down there for the church services, because it's life-changing, I believe, for children.
Yes.
The gospel is presented in such an awesome way. And so what if we do that, Tina? You and I commit that every day, Monday through Friday, we will get together and write at least once.
Sounds good.
Once a day.
Because I was going to say that I couldn't really commit to doing anything at all, but I will commit to that.
Okay.
If we're there to do it together. And I'm bringing my table that I'm sitting at with me, so I got plenty of space.
Okay.
Okay. My goals for next week. I need to work on our Christmas story submission. I have not spent nearly enough time on that, so I need to get it into shape. But we have a deadline to have a more or less final draft done by the 29th. And Rhonda, what is your goal for the coming week?
I need to finish mine up. It just needs some polish. Get back on track with office hours after this crazy 2 weeks, and getting published.
Well,
eventually.
It sounds like it's going to be just you and me for office hours, so maybe let's talk about a late start.
Okay. Okay.
I appreciate sleeping in. So anyway.
In the chat, they are sharing their goals. Let me just share real quick.
Go for it.
Maria says that her goals, Camp Nano, is going well. Good. With her historical fantasy involving the Brontes. Got almost 29,000 after today. Good for you, Maria.
That sounds like a really cool premise. I like that.
Yeah, I'd really like to read that.
Yeah, me too. And then Belle says that her goals are to keep on track with her camp goal as well, and to finish a story by the end of the month. So yay. Good job, Belle.
Awesome.
Great job.
Awesome.
Yeah, we didn't do Camp Nano in July, did we? Because we knew July was going to be off the rails for us.
Yes.
Awesome.
It always
really
is.
good to hear what you all are doing out there. Thanks for keeping us posted. Just a reminder for those of you who may have missed it, not anytime soon, but starting August 9th, we're moving the live podcast to Friday. So we're still on Thursdays for a little while longer, but we'll be moving to Friday. Is there anything else that y'all want to say before we sign off? All right. So in that case, this concludes this episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. So until next time, may your pen be prolific, may your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.